Welcome to Hidden Facts. In a world where we are bombarded with information from all kinds of sources 24/7, in a world where children are taught not to question what they are taught in school, but to memorize, and in a world where we are hypnotically trapped on our devices, sending us information all day, the question many people cannot answer is the difference between what is a truth and what is a lie. In this documentary, I'm going to break down 9 different hidden facts and let you, the viewer, decide what is true and what is not. Hidden fact number 1. The majority of Native Americans actually did not die from disease and war. One of the more common stories you will hear about in school is the Trail of Tears. The Trail of Tears is basically a paper genocide and also depicted as a literal genocide due to the passing of the Indian Removal Act of 1830. This law made it federally legal for the government to remove 5 major tribes from their native territories into reservations. With over 5,000 miles of travel, they say the majority of Native Americans perished. This is depicted as a final straw in a 300-year battle of warfare and disease, allegedly brought on by Europeans carrying smallpox and measles. Articles go so far as to say that violence and disease killed 90% of the indigenous population, nearly 55 million people, after the arrival of Columbus in 1492. But is this really so? There was a study published by the National Geographic in 2011 which showed that there was a massive population drop. However, it did not occur during the timeline of Columbus, but 1,000 years before. In addition, it also showed that despite this drop, the Native American population eventually fully recovered to their pre-decline levels, likely aided by the development of resistance to European disease. Even more interesting is that they say the bottleneck of decline was very short-lived, and it did not eliminate many lineages that were present before Europeans arrived. So the question we need to ask is, why would they lie about the decline of the Native American population? So since all these lineages weren't actually eliminated and the population recovered, where are these 50 million people? A book I highly recommend is Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. On page 77, he boldly states that in any case, it is clear that Indians were often designated as quote-unquote Negroes. Going back even further to 1552, there's a letter from Nobrega from South America to Portugal referring to the native people in Portuguese as Negros y Negras. In addition, newspaper articles covering the early Chickasaw Nation referred to them as quote-unquote Negro-Indians. In 1937, James Johnson wrote a doctoral dissertation that said anyone in the South could see the physical characteristics of many Negro slaves bore witness to their Indian origin. We do not have to go back that far to figure out where the population went. We only need to go back one generation. I want you to take a good look at these 3 women here and tell me which one of them you think is Native and which one you think is Black. In fact, all of them are Native American. You're looking at early pictures of Aaliyah Houghton, who passed away in 2001 with her grandmother and brother. Now, you're also looking at pictures of Aaliyah with her mother as a young child. Aaliyah and her mother have an uncanny resemblance to her grandmother, and they would not be classified as anything other than Black in today's standards. Even with her father being slightly more brown, she still has an uncanny resemblance to her grandmother. In fact, her Native American ancestry is completely ignored. All references to her ethnicity simply say African American. This is a prime example. Now, there are other examples such as the godfather of soul himself, James Brown. James Joseph Brown was born in 1933, not even 100 years ago, and he openly admitted to having Native American ancestry. In addition, James Brown was very famous for coining the phrase, "Say it loud, say it proud, I'm Black and I'm proud." Very few people understood what he really meant. Another person who you might be surprised to learn has Native American ancestry is spiritual counselor Iyanla Vanzant. Actually, she posted a picture of her grandmother, who she said was full to Slakia in Cherokee, and her grandmother looks a lot like mine. So even when we look at Black women today, you never know who's full-blooded Native or who's full-blooded African. It appears these are one people. Another famous person is Jimi Hendrix, who often wrote songs about his Cherokee grandmother and who was very proud of his Cherokee heritage. In fact, we found pictures of his grandparents, and they have an uncanny resemblance to many black people still living today. So, another person, Chris Brown, is a very popular singer and actor, contemporary to all of us, born, I believe, 1989. So he has recently discovered that he's from the Pamunkey tribe in Virginia. So this goes to show right now that there are black people alive that have active Native American roots. And that number, about 90% of Native Americans being wiped out, simply cannot be true. Now we are looking at the family tree of Rosa Parks, who is a popular civil rights icon who died in 2005. Even with that, she was well known for being proud of her Native American heritage. In fact, despite it being a civil rights movement, Rosa Parks often identified as Cree or Cherokee. So again, even some of the icons of the so-called civil rights movement, as we shall soon see, were part Native. Now let's look at the parents of icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as evidenced by his many writings, said the Negro was exiled in his own land. What did this really mean? Well, he can speak from a personal level, being that he also was considered Native in his family. Also, his wife, Coretta Scott King, had Native American ancestry, and therefore their many kids also could be considered part Native American. One of America's greatest actors and voices is James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones is also famous for giving the voice to the character Darth Vader, and he acknowledged that his grandmother was Choctaw and Cherokee. Yet again, another icon still living today with Native American roots. Up, I have one question. Do you agree or disagree with the National Geographic saying the Native American lineages weren't wiped out? Do you agree or disagree with history books who tell us